Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for May 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my offerings, check out my blog, and while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get a write-up of the upcoming astrology a month early. So what's going on in the month of May? We have movement and manifestation to the max. And this is partly because of finally the personal planets that have been retrograde in succession since December of 2016. All of that is clearing up this month, and I will go into much more detail about each of the aspects that I consider important this month and what they can bring and how you can best use them. But I just wanted to give you the overview of the month before I go into the Pisces focus, because this is what we're talking about. You know, we're talking about movement, we're talking about manifestation. One of the areas of life that I see many potentials for movement and manifestation to occur is in the house of finances. We're going to follow the sun here to talk about this. So the sun is going to be in the second house for early, middle, and late degree Pisces placement. So regardless of where your Pisces placement is, you're going to have the influence of the sun this month in the second house. And the second house has to do with finances. It has to do with things of value to you, things of financial value. It has to do with your capacity to earn money, your actual income, what you value. It can have to do with environmental projects or living sustainably, or it can have to do with luxury items. You know, it's the full extreme of how we negotiate, interact with the material realms. So the sun is like a spotlight. And I always use the example when we're talking about the sun of turning a light on in an attic or putting a flashlight behind a stove or something like that. You know, when you put this bright light into a place where it isn't usually, then you can see things there that are really gross that have to be dealt with. You know, so you might notice that there are some things with your finances, with how you handle money, with your budget, with how you're making money, with how you feel about how you're making money, that really have to be addressed, and you have to have the light of day on them to kind of experience the understanding that there's a challenge there or something to be dealt with so that you can do something about it. But that's only one way that this can manifest. The other way is you can find things of value. You know, I know there have been countless people who have looked in a place that's usually dark, and when they bring the light to it, they find things of value, things they forgot about, things they didn't even know about. So this is a time of exploration, and you get this time once a year when the sun moves into this house, where it's a time of exploration, you know, for you to play, to ask questions, to explore, to try things on. And so your finances are going to be very strongly highlighted. Another area that I see a lot of focus is the third house. Mars is going to be moving through the third house for most of you. The rest of you, let's see, early, middle, no, all of you. So early, middle, and late degree placements will have Mars moving through the third house. Mars is like a border collie of the zodiac. I love border collies. I have border collies. I always pretty much have. And, you know, they're busy. They're really, really busy. And that's what Mars is like. It wants to take action on something, especially when it's in the sign of Gemini. It's like all over the place. So you might find that you have opportunities to make money, or that you're traveling around a lot, or that you're busy, or you're thinking or talking or sharing a lot. You know, it's a very busy time. So besides Mars moving through that area, that's also going to be the area where the new moon happens for early, middle, and late degree Pisces placements. Sometimes, I'll share with you when I see aspects happening in different houses for early or middle or late. But the ones that I'm talking about this month, everything is just fully concentrated in the same houses for all of you placements. So I'm talking to all of you here with this. So the third house, the new moon opening up a new portal of energy, Mars bringing busyness, bringing life, bringing fierce focus to your communication with people, your devices that you use to communicate. It's also how you move yourself around. So your vehicles, your bicycles, your capacity to be mobile very much wants to be affected here, you know? So if you have had an injury, this month could bring you into motion. If you have been without a vehicle, this could be a great month to buy a vehicle. And it's actually the first great month to buy a vehicle. If you slipped it in February, then that was great. But before then, it was a while, before we had some good transits for this. And after then, it's really only now into May that, and I would wait, at least until the 9th of May if you can, if it's in your flow, because Mercury is going to be retrograde until the 3rd, and we do need a few days around there to kind of have things settle down, because Mercury rules cars. So buying a new car when Mercury's in retrograde isn't usually well indicated if you can help it. And May 9th is just a beautiful aspect. So I just like that day for starting to take some action on things. I'll go into more details about that. But so you could find a lot of movement is basically what we're talking about here. Now, as far as the full moon goes, you early degree placement, so that's, basically the first 10 days of the sign, or the first 10 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. You're going to have that full moon manifestation, which is at 20 degrees of Scorpio, in your 9th house. Your 9th house has to do with long distance travel. This 3rd house that we're talking about with transportation and cars and stuff, that's short distance travel. But the 9th house is long distance travel, different countries, different cultures, different languages, teaching projects. So the full moon brings something to fruition, to completion, brings big news about, brings something to an ending. So something academic could be ending, a major ending, finishing school, finishing a project, finishing a work, something overseas. Or it could be that you get brought to, these overseas destinations or something like that, because it's a culmination of something. Writing, publishing, any of those things. Also, this is a house of religion. So if you're involved with your church, there could be something notable going on with your church. I have heard of some people having some mini dark nights of the soul when there's a full moon in the 9th house, because it kind of brings your beliefs into question and tests them. So it definitely will test your connection to spirit for some people. But those tests usually wind up making our faith in the divine creator even more profoundly solid. So don't fear that test, just know that for some of you that could be coming. So the middle and late degree placement, so that's basically the rest of y'all, from like 11 degrees to 29 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign, or the 11th through the rest of the days of the sign. Your full moon is going to happen in the 8th house. So this is going to be very powerful too, because the full moon is in the sign of Scorpio, and for the rest of y'all, it will actually be in the house of Scorpio. So that's like a double manifestation of energy. The house of Scorpio has to do with shared resources. It's called the house of other people's money. So any place where, like, you and your spouse, you and your family, you and your business partner, you and the mortgage company, you and the student loan people, any place you have inheritances, sweepstakes, lotteries, stuff like that. Any place where there's like a shared, power or finances or something where it's merging together, or you're being supported by something else. So you could have something like that come in. This is also the house of the lesser seen worlds, and I always talk about the lesser seen worlds because I personally dwell more in the lesser seen worlds than I do in the more mundane reality, even though I'm well grounded there too. And this 8th house is the house of astrology, is the house of psychology, is the house of the mystery. I call it the house of the whatnots, the beings that communicate to you, that you feel through subtle energy that you can't see crystal clear in front of you like a glass that you're holding. Although some people can see those entities that clear. But for those of you who are doing spiritual work, this is a really cool time, because this is a time where work that you're doing can just show up in this big way, where you have this huge awareness, this huge connection, this huge manifestation. And then, of course, like we said, there's always the tests. So sometimes these full moons bring the tests. I always think of the full moon as the shaking off of all this energy that's accumulated in our fields, because we're sentient beings. We have these emotional, everything is emotional. It is connected to feeling. So at the full moon is this boiling over of feeling, positive feeling, negative feeling, just feeling in general. So it's like this, all month long while the moon is waxing, well, not all month long, but for the cycle that the moon is waxing, we're moving into this fullness, and then we shake it off like a dog shakes off water when they come from swimming, And that's what we do with the full moon. So it's like, it's something that is coming together in this 8th house. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Pisces placements. Now I want to go into extensive detail about the actual aspects that are coming up this month. We've got an amazing outer planet connection in the form of a trine, which is going to help bring harmonious transitions. I want to talk more about this Saturn-Uranus Trine. It's the second one in a cycle over the course of a year, carrying us through these major crossroad shifts. So I want to talk about all of that now. So I'm calling the theme of the month of May for all signs, movement and manifestation to the max. This is the month that we have been waiting for through all of the retrograde cycles that started at the end of 2016. So there are definitely going to be major opportunities for the launches, for the trips, for the action, for the activity, for the big decisions. And we have some really amazing transits that line up with this clearing of the retrogrades. So I'll just go in order about the notable dates and the transits on those dates. Do know that when you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, I do a write-up, a general write-up for the month ahead, so that you have a lot of the points that I talk about written down, and it's easier to refer to for your planning purposes, so you can check that out too. So on May 3rd, this is the day that Mercury goes direct, and Mercury goes direct at 24 degrees of Aries. So if you have any planets close to there, of course, you'll be affected more than others or in aspect to them to that degree. But everyone will likely experience more chaos around the days that Mercury goes direct. So it would be a false idea to think, oh, today Mercury is direct, now today or tomorrow I will go and do all these things and make all these decisions and try to get all this stuff done. You'll feel it when you pay attention that the energies are very chaotic the days before and the days after a planet goes retrograde, or the days before or the days after it goes direct. So I say give it a few days, several days after the 3rd, before you start taking action. I know your little horsey's chomping at the bit, waiting through 5 months of retrograde energies to try to do things, but do wait just a little longer. On May 9th, we've got the first day that I consider really, really good to start doing some things. I don't, you have to feel in to see if your launches or things like that would be good on this day, but I like a little bit later in the month because the shadow energies start to clear more. But this is certainly a day when the sun in Taurus makes a trine to Pluto in Capricorn, where you have tremendous power aligning with your desires. So you could, just feel into it. This could be a day to do some of the things on your list. On May 10th, we have the full moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio, and at the same time we have a Uranus and Mercury conjunction. So full moons usually bring fullness, completion, drama. Sometimes they bring happy tears, sometimes they bring stress, but there is this fullness, this completion, this coming to fruition of anything in the area of Scorpio. So something having to do with an intimate relationship, a business partnership, a financial relationship or agreement, something with esoteric studies. Many people can have major spiritual transformation that occurs at this time, or insights that occur. If someone is doing research or looking into a mystery, sometimes this energy can bring answers that you've been looking for, that you've been delving deep, searching for. The fact that Uranus and Mercury are going to make this conjunction at the same time always alerts me to watch your head and your brain, because Uranus in Aries, Uranus brings surprises, it could bring jolts. Mercury is like your movement, and it just always behooves us to guard your head, especially during this time, especially since the full moon is bringing excess of drama and emotions. And sometimes, everybody knows that people get a little more crazy at the full moon, right? Even people that don't believe in astrology know that that's true. So I like to leave a little space around the full moons so that whatever comes up, you can be fully present for them. So that's May 10th, the full moon in Scorpio. On May 11th, we have a square with Mars in Gemini to Neptune in Pisces. And so how I see this energy coming together as a potential is information overload, action overload, things to do, just kind of energy and movement combining with chaos and confusion, so this might be a day to step back. I always like to remind you that even though I give you the dates of the transits, sometimes we feel the energy of the planets coming together on the days before or the days after the actual transit. So you really need to fill in to fill in with your intuition if a day is good for something. Just because we say today is a good day in the cosmos, if you're having a bad day that day and things are not flowing for you, maybe you don't want to align with trying to make a big decision or do something on that day just because it happens to be a quote good transit. Sometimes you'll feel the good energy days before, so if you're feeling it, everything is aligning. You don't have to necessarily wait for the exact day the transit happens. If it's a positive transit, you can take advantage of that energy when you feel it beforehand as well. So I just wanted to point that out. So this Mars in Gemini and Neptune in Pisces aspect could bring some action and information overload. So just kind of draw back a little bit. That is the other thing to know about this month. Although there are definitely energetic clearings going on, the planets are going direct that were retrograde, the shadows, or at least Mercury is, the Venus retrograde shadow transit is going to be over this month. We'll talk about that later. Mercury retrograde transit or shadow will be over later. There's this clearing out going, kind of opening up some room for action and things to happen. But this energy is interspersed with these little challenging moments. So you really just have to feel your way through to see which is a good time to do what and to take best advantage of the good energy when you're feeling it. Okay, so also on May 11th, Mercury in Aries is going to make a trine to Saturn and Sag. And so this energy is really good for good news and forward movement, especially on long-term projects. So the fact that it's so close to the full moon and this other aspect with Mars and Neptune, you just have to feel your way through. Feel when you're feeling that good energy flowing, then jump on that and take your actions at that time. On the 14th, the nodes, I started talking about the North and South node in transit last month in the April report. The North node in transit shows us keys to our highest expression. And right now, on May 14th, the nodes change to the polarity of Leo and Aquarius. And so when the North Node is transiting in Leo, it's pointing for all of us to have more energy towards following our bliss. That's what Leo energy is about, is living in this constant manifestation of these true desires. A true desire is not necessarily a chocolate cake, or a purse or something like that. The true desires, the ones that spirit wants for us, aligns for us. And who knows, maybe a purse or a chocolate cake could be part of that if it's part of something bigger for somebody. I have no judgment on the desires. We just have to be careful that addictions don't cloud the way of true desires that spirit wants for us, So when we really, really, really want something, it's usually because spirit really, really wants that for us. And when we align our energies with where spirit is directing us, we become an unstoppable force for manifestation. So with the transiting node moving into Leo, we're all going to have years of support for following our bliss. It reminds me of the quote by Joseph Campbell. If you haven't studied his work, he's amazing. He basically, this is, loosely, he talks about how when you follow your bliss, doors open that weren't there before. Not even doors necessarily that were closed, just like doors open from places where there just weren't any doors. When you follow your bliss, you align with that energy, you supercharge yourself for manifestation. So this is really good news for me for assisting everyone in following that bliss, because the universe is really supporting this at this time. So on May 18th, we have a nice angle between the Sun in Taurus and Chiron in Pisces. Chiron is an asteroid, it's the wounded healer. And it talks about how our weak spots can actually be our greatest strengths. So when we have a nice angle here, it's showing us that we have a chance to easily convert a weakness to a strength. That's what Chiron to me is all about. So when you have something at a nice angle to it, it means that that conversion can be relatively easy. When you have Chiron in a challenging angle, then that conversion can be a little bit stressful. But this is like a nice little sweet spot here, in the middle of the month, where something that was serving to hinder you actually serves as your springboard. So around May 19th, we have this amazing long-term story, beautiful aspect between Saturn in Sagittarius and Uranus in Aries. So we've talked about outer planets, how when they get together, they create these long-term challenges, which could be opportunities or just straight opportunities. So this is just straight up opportunity for harmonious transitions. The first time Saturn and Uranus came together in this configuration in recent times was December 24th of 2016. So here now, May 19th, is our second run of this story. And then the third run they'll connect again on November 11th. And they won't come together again like this until 2047. So this is a really rare aspect, and it is one that is a theme for the whole year from the end of 2016 through the end of 2017. And this month of May, and actually for the end of April, all of May, and almost half of June, Saturn and Uranus are in this amazing close proximity that's just opening doors, just like we were talking about for following your bliss. So it's really supercharged. And so the energies are also both in fire. And fire means action. If you know anyone or you have a lot of fire energy of your own, this is an action-oriented energy. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Let's do something. So when you have these outer planets in this wonderful aspect, they want to help you do something really big. So this is the type of energy that's amazing for all huge transitions, like major crossroads. Changes in all areas of life are very much supported. And now that we have the personal planet retrogrades clearing up, it's really opening up the way for these changes that have been pending to really start to manifest. The same day, May 19th, we have this opposition with Venus in Aries to Jupiter in Libra. This is the opposition that I worry least about in general, because Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics, the nice planets basically of the zodiac. So when they get together, even in an ornery angle, it's not as much of a challenge or an issue as oppositions with other planets are, because they kind of like each other, So I could see two main possible manifestations from this. Of course, there are unlimited manifestations, but one could be overindulgence in fun. So just excess of fun, spending, partying, whatever. That is more common at this time. Just having way too much fun. And the other way I can see this happening is a burnout from balancing me and we. Like, you could be getting in a really good groove with tending to your own things and tending to your stuff with relationship. Because Aries and Libra are this, this polarity of me and we. So you could just be burnt out from balancing me and we. And that could be how it manifests. And this same day, on May 19th, is when the Venus shadow period from the retrograde passes completely. So ever since April 15th, when Venus went direct, we've been in this shadow period where, even though it was moving forward, it was kind of still getting back to full strength. So now on this day, it's back at full strength, and we're not going to have to work with this for, a long time, till the end of 2018, as far as the Venus retrograde goes. On May 21st, the Mercury shadow clears. So in that time between, the first few days after Mercury goes direct, so May 3rd, after that, I'm saying like May 9th is a good time to start, pushing some things forward. From May 9th until the 21st, you're still having a little bit of shadow stuff to deal with, but it doesn't mean you can't get some stuff done. But now, as of the 21st, you have this completely open period from personal planets retrograde or their shadow periods until July 24th. So make the most of your taking action, doing things, going places, making decisions, moving forward. Then on May 25th, we have the new moon at almost 5 degrees of Gemini. New moons always bring new opportunities, and the more you make your wishes in alignment with the energy of the sign, the more the universe can help them come true. So you get 10 new moon wishes. You can check out my blog called Making Powerful New Moon in Gemini Wishes, or you can just go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on blog, and then put a search for new moon in Gemini and you'll find it. So you can see the types of things that are Gemini related that you can wish for that help to push your wishes even further. That new moon is also squaring Pluto. So there could be some challenges with people, authority figures, or unknown pieces, or some sort of forces that seem to be working against you. This is one of those examples this month, as I was saying, there's like all these energies moving forward, but they're like little hindrances, little obstacles in the way. So if you're feeling a little bit of a pushback, then just honor the flow and just wait until you're feeling the flow move forward again, instead of pushing against it. On May 28th through the 29th, Mars in Gemini is going to be opposing Saturn in Sagittarius. So this could be another one of those hiccups in progress where, you know, Saturn, this taskmaster, comes in and opposes Mars, this planet that wants to move forward and take action. It's like a little bit of, hey, you have to do something with your responsibility here, or here's a little piece you didn't keep up with that you have to take care of before you can continue spiraling forward. And it is very much a spiraling energy because the energy of Gemini moves in an upward spiral. So you'll notice this month is just full of, I mean, even though we have energy in Taurus as well, which is more grounded, there's more of a predominant energy in like the Aries and Gemini, which is like making everything spin, you know, busyness, lots of information, lots of talking, lots of thinking, lots of doing, lots of going places. So then on May 30th, Mars in Gemini will make a nice angle to Uranus, and this is a really great day to put a brilliant plan in action. Uranus rules taking chances, taking risks, doing something forward thinking, and Mars again rules action. So when they come together in a nice angle, this gives really good support for taking a brilliant idea and putting it into action. On the 31st, Mercury in Taurus will make a lovely trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So this is like grounded action fueled by emotional or lesser seen support. You know, Pluto is stuff in the backdrop. It could be spiritual, mystical stuff. It could be, you know, a person or an entity with money that is supporting you. But it's something that is positively expressing or positively supporting your expression at this time. So these are the things that are most on my mind. Again, the theme this month is movement and manifestation to the max. I hope that this helps you to take more advantage of the opportunities that will be at play this month. If you haven't already signed up for my free email newsletter, then definitely do that on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, because you get the write-up of the month that's coming. I always send that out a month early, just like I do the horoscopes a month early, so that you can prepare. And some people need to see things more than just hear them, and that written report will give you information in a visual way. Also, I might have some slots still open in my Creating Successful Online Business if you'd like to be free from your geography. I'm not yet enrolling for my astrology apprenticeship program and my coach certification course, but it's coming soon when I will be. So if you think you might be interested in those courses, they do fill up quickly. You can go to my website and click on anniehelpsyou.com, click on Work With Me, and send me an email through where it says this class is full and in progress. If you send me an email through there, I'll put you on the list to have first chance at open slots when they come, if you're really interested in working with me. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.